No death threats on YouTube last night. Unusual to have no death threats. But the common consensus is that you all look like deer in the headlights. Yeah, deer in the headlights. Everybody understand what that means? You know how when a cat or a dog or an animal runs in front of your car and he freezes and he's mesmerized or he's stunned or paralyzed by the headlights that's shining in his eyes? That's what you look like. One said, did anybody shit their pants yet? A couple, anyway. But no death threats. That's unusual. So the one guy called me his nigga. I don't remember slagging the blacks off yesterday. I just may do it naturally and I don't notice it anymore. But there's some confusion. Man's best plans. Never underestimate how wrong you can be, right? I'm speaking at Chester University on the 19th, which is just outside Manchester. And I'm speaking the next day in Liverpool. And originally, it was planned I was going to speak at the University of Liverpool, but University of Liverpool doesn't want me. So for those in Liverpool of all fucking places, one of the shitholes of the Western world, but they don't want me. I'm good enough for Oxford University, but I'm not good enough for the University of Liverpool. Who'd have fucking thunk it? Huh? That's like being accepted at Harvard, but not at East Los Angeles Junior College. But I'm speaking the next day in Liverpool, and not at the university, but at an incubator that one of the students belongs to, and he wanted me to speak because to get in, almost all the invitations to these universities come from the students, not from the schools. So then if you're a student at Oxford or wherever you are, then you go to the school. First of all, you ask me if I'll do it. And yeah. Then you go to the school and say, we'd like him to speak to the student body. And then they pick, normally it's like the Entrepreneurs Club or the Business Club or some kind of club. And then they either say yes or no. And normally what has happened in the past, a lot of schools will say yes because I'm not charging any money. I'm going there on my own nickel, et cetera, et cetera. I'm doing a pro bono as part of my own pro bono program for free. And but then somebody on the board of trustees or somebody on the whatever looks and on my website, and I don't think I have a clip on my landing page. It doesn't say fuck, shit, cunt, vagina on it. I don't think I have one. Maybe I do, but it certainly wasn't on purpose. It's not by design. And so then they get all their knickers in a twist, and then they decide that they don't want me. They don't want me. A French university, a very prestigious French university, assumed I spoke French because I went to school in France. So that never happened. But anyway, there's 4 or 5 schools that are firm, one of which I'm speaking at the University of Toronto later on this year, to a black group. My brothers, which I'm looking forward to. But on the 19th, I'll be at Chester University. On the 20th, I'll be in Liverpool, and all that information is somewhere on my site. But don't call me. Don't email me. Don't face fuck me, link fuck me, or tweet fuck me about it. Because nobody's going to answer those. There are appropriate pages to get information, and I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them. Last night you saw the most recent, I believe, film about Steve Jobs. And normally what happens, again, that the longer you're dead, the nastier the movies are. The longer you're dead, time frame, then they really tell the truth about you. I don't know if this is the second or third movie about Steve. And there's no doubt he's an icon. There's no doubt that he did all kind of fucking terrific things. But what was the takeaway from the movie? A takeaway. There's a lot of takeaways, actually. What's the takeaway?
Persistence.
Persistence. Persistence?
You gotta be ruthless.
Amen, Sarge. I mean, now you had two, back to back. I could show you films from now until Christmas about all these guys. And they have several things in common. But you can say persistence, tenacity, focus, but ruthlessness is paramount. There are no snowflakes on that. Christ is the closest to a snowflake we got up there. JC. And if you read all the shit about him, and him I know a lot about, there is some non-PC shit that he did. 2,000 years later, they're talking about it. So what else about Steve?
He was passionate.
What?
He was passionate. He sold computers like it was the greatest thing.
In his mind, they were.
That ruthlessness is coming from the holding the vision all the time, rather than going around what other people were saying or what's convenient.
He didn't care what anybody said. Like I say, and some of the great people I've had the pleasure of working with, don't confuse me with the fucking facts. Don't confuse me with the facts. I say that quite often. And when I'm reading your weekly reports and ostensibly your vision and your passion, and I'll say something, and and you'll immediately, well, should I pivot? Pivot meaning going into another deal, because you're really not passionate. If you're really passionate, we're gonna have to kill your daughter over this. Oh, okay. We'll take my youngest daughter because you're really not passionate about it. What else about Steve?
He lived in his own world.
He was oblivious to everything. He lived in his own world. He abandoned his daughter until he, in my judgment, until he figured out she was really bright, and then he coveted her, more or less. Now that movie didn't show because they didn't bring him to near his death when he bought into God or some higher power, trying to pave his way to the pearly gates or to the golden arches, the McDonald's in the sky, the golden arches. But all the guys and the few gals are pretty much the same. There's varying degrees of ruthlessness. But some of the guys that I know, that you've known their names, think I'm a pussycat. That I'm a cunt. And if I'm a cunt, guys, God knows we can't find a word to describe you. And when I say that for the most part, everybody that's ever come through the seminar, save maybe one person, I can eat for fucking breakfast with both hands tied behind my back. And there are people on the planet that say they can eat me for breakfast. That's questionable because it's never happened, but maybe there is. You never know. One thing I did know, in talking to one of you that is a boxer, maybe remind me of, there's always somebody tougher. There is always somebody tougher, and I proved that to myself, getting shit kicked out of me a few times in my illustrious tough guy career when I was young. And there's always somebody smarter, and you can never underestimate how wrong you can be. And so those things that are more or less the precepts of QLA are based on raw evidence, normally evidence from me, having it happen to me, and more recently, in the last 5 or 10 years, evidence best practices, because best practices have evolved because of the internet. Evolved because of the internet. You can get this stuff done now, really, contrary to what you might think, in days. We've had people build dream teams, get accountants and lawyers in a week. 8 days to be exact. 8 days. And when you start, now if it takes you 45 minutes staring at the phone, like I gave the example yesterday, that's not going to happen. But I mean, you can get it done quickly. And back when I was doing it, there was virtually everybody that I recruited face-to-face, shoe leather, as Bruce Whipple used to call it. And because I'd get on a plane or I'd walk there, in Manhattan, it's easy to build dream teams because everybody's in about 3 square miles. 3 square miles, which is the island of Manhattan. What else about Steve? When he was going public and they were sitting around there working on the prospectus, if my memory serves me correctly, and then he went in and he said, why are these guys here? Well, they're going to be part of the show. No, they're not getting any shares. They're not getting any shares. Or words to that effect. Which, unfortunately, in my judgment, is, it's wrong. It's just like when Ray Kroc said 1% handshake deal, well, and then nobody ever got that 1%, the McDonald brothers. But one of the precepts of QLA is ownership through stock and stock options, i.e. like Starbucks and Google and Facebook, where there were, I don't know if thousands is maybe an exaggeration, but there were hundreds of people that became millionaires on Facebook and a few people that became billionaires when the company floated and when it was taken public. That's the basis. And that some of you, in some cultures around the world, have a difficulty understanding giving something. It doesn't compute. Because the cultures have been taking for centuries. And so to give, and they don't understand you're giving because they produced, and the reason why you're in the position that you're in, to take public and instantly become a millionaire or instantly become worth $100 million or in some cases instantly become a billionaire, it's because of all those minions down the economic food chain, and down to the guy and or gal that sweeps the floor through the chairman. And when I say pay yourself first, and I list the directors, but when you have employees, down to the guy that sweeps the floor. And you'll never find dust on the floor if you get stock options, I assure you. People are sick less. Speaking of sick less, when my dad retired from being an LA cop after 28 years, he had over 700 days in statutory leave he didn't take. 700. He got a check. They don't do that anymore. He got a check for whatever 708 days or 24 days, whatever it was, for the days off he didn't take that he could have. And so if you take that divided into 28 years, he never took a day off. That's an exaggeration, but almost never took a day off. I was in Australia with Sally and her mother a few years ago, and we were at that, I asked Sally yesterday when she was here, that rock that's out in the middle of the nowhere. Yeah, High Rock. And we were sitting with two couples, one couple that were in their middle 40s, and one couple that had a son and a daughter with them, and one couple that were in their late 20s. And the whole dinner was, they were talking about their statutory sick leave and how many days they could take and how many days they could cheat, and they don't really check. The whole motherfucking dinner. Now the two teenage kids that were there, now just fucking imagine, they're listening to their parents talk about statutory leave and statutory sick day and all this bullshit, and this other younger couple that is agreeing with them. What chance do those kids have? What motherfucking chance? And you ask, oh, I'm not fucked up because of my parents. Oh, no. What fucking, I was besides myself. My leg was bloody from Sally kicking me. Finally, I just had to say something. What are you, stupid? You stupid cunts? What kind of chance do these two teenagers have with you talking about nothing more fucking important than your fucking sick leave? You should be ashamed. They should have rolled down the inside of your leg. It should have been a miscarriage. And I sat back down and had another glass of wine. And you wonder why you're so fucked up. And you can hear that shit from the second fucking trimester. It's amazing you know how to wipe your own fucking ass. The only reason you know how to wipe your ass is because parents got embarrassed because the shit rolled down your leg. Otherwise, they would have never taught you how to wipe your goddamn ass. Most of the teachings you got as kids is because you were an embarrassment to them. Not for when you're 25 or 45 years old. And as I proved, at least one of you is a fucking mistake in here. Ask your mother, YouTube. Go back and ask your parents. Was I on purpose, Mom? Was I on purpose, Dad? And look at the look in their fucking face. They won't even have to answer in words. You fucking sorry vaginas. And you know this down deep inside. You know it. So how can you turn out anything other than a weenie? We'll end on that high note, YouTube. Go fuck yourself.